David Bakhtiari, the former fourth-round pick in the 2013 NFL Draft, has spent the last 11 years with the Green Bay Packers. He's expected to be released this offseason. Could the five-time All-Pro wind up with his best friend, Aaron Rodgers, in New York? All right, I'm excited to get into this one. Could the New York Jets solve their left tackle problem with Aaron Rodgers' best friend from Green Bay, David Bakhtiari? This is something we've talked about for a few months now, even dating back to last year when we were predicting that he might even be a package as part of the trade with Aaron Rodgers. And even with the restructure back in August, it seemed like there was potential for Bakhtiari to maybe get moved over to this direction. But I want to get into it, talk about the article, talk about his contract, his injury history, all the things going into the David Bakhtiari conversation, and give you my thoughts at the end of it and what our offensive line could look like if you wind up bringing in someone like Bakhtiari. So let's hop over to the article. This coming from The Athletic. So it's a little speculative, but I think a lot of people are probably expecting David Bakhtiari to get cut. Bakhtiari hopes whatever surgery he had after playing only the season opener in 2023 will finally put him in the clear, but the Packers are getting younger and can't reasonably afford banking on Bakhtiari's knee at his current price. The Packers will assuredly trade or release Bakhtiari. Maybe the New York Jets fork over a late round pick to reunite Bakhtiari with his old golf cart buddy Aaron Rodgers, and that's not a joke, despite the possibility that he's still elite when healthy, as he showed for a brief Sunday against the Chicago Bears in September. So he graded out really good in the one game he played against Chicago, but he wound up hurting his knee and needing surgery, knocked him out for the remainder of the year. If you're wondering what this whole golf cart buddy thing that's going on, this is what that's referring to. Now, I love everything about that video to begin with, but I think the license plate just makes it so much funnier. Bakhtiari's number, obviously number 69, loving 69. I've got the mental maturity of a middle schooler, so there's that. But yes, this is a conversation. Aaron Rodgers' best buddy, David Bakhtiari, could he be coming to the New York Jets? There is a lot to get into with this, and you know what? Let's start with what he said after this particular article came out. There was a tweet that sort of showed it, one of those aggregators. Dov Kleiman reposts the Athletic comments. Then Schneiderman, that wrote the article, says, there's a difference between opinion-based and reading between the lines. He's reading between the lines a little bit. And Bakhtiari says, if I get fired because of this, I blame you, which is a little tongue-in-cheek. I know he doesn't actually believe that. But yeah, look, so let's discuss it a little bit. How good is David Bakhtiari? He is incredible. Over the course of his career, he has literally been like one of the best tackles, if not the best tackle in the NFL for a long, long time. Now, where the issue comes in is this little chunk right here at the top, the most recent 3 years, and it's his injury history. He has only played in 13 games the last 3 seasons. He tore his ACL back in 2020, at the end of the year in December. And since then, it's kind of been bouncing back and forth. Now, I got this from our buddy, Buffalo Jet fan. He wrote this out beautifully. So I'll just read off what he has here. December 2020, tears his ACL, ending basically his 2022 season because of how long all this has really been going on. But in November of 2021, 2 weeks after being activated off the PUP list, Bakhtiari has an arthroscopic knee surgery due to fluid buildup in his surgically repaired knee. Then in January of 2022, Bakhtiari returns for the last regular season game in an effort to make the Packers' playoff push. He lasted only 27 snaps and was inactive for the Packers' lone playoff game that year. In September to November of 2022, Bakhtiari starts 11 games for the Packers, still playing at an elite level, 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits allowed, 88.5 Pro Football Focus blocking grade. In December of 2022, Bakhtiari has emergency appendectomy, ending his 2022 season. So nothing related to the knee. Nothing related to the knee. And then September 2023, Bakhtiari plays in 1 game before needing another arthroscopic surgery on the same knee that ended his season back in 2020. So this is, where people get concerned. It's the consistent knee injuries. Can Bakhtiari wind up staying healthy and all that stuff? It's something that I think we are going to have to confront and deal with. Now, as far as the injury is concerned, this is what Bakhtiari had to say after learning of his injury this year, and then how he described the injury and what his process is going to be with doctors.
December 31st, 2020, tore my knee in practice. Ended up being a ACL, a little bit of my lateral meniscus. Like, I think I think it was like they took out like 10-15%. Nothing big on that. The issue came from my lateral femur. I took out some cartilage, and that is where we're at today, dealing with that. Now, going through the process, that's why I kept saying it's never been by my ACL, it's never been about that. Everything's always been good. It's been, for all of us, myself included, trying to figure out, is this an issue that needs to be addressed or no? Every single time we could get out of the weeds with everything, because obviously you have to get over the ACL. We hit that, and then other things came up, scar tissue, so we have to go in and clean it out. And then there's atrophy with that. So the ability to truly assess, is that a problem? Now fast forwards us to where we are today. Because obviously I had a couple clean outs. We couldn't tell. Now at this point, finally my breather was, in the off season, I'm able to actually have strength in my leg. I don't think to give most people an idea, when you have surgery, there's atrophy, and then when you have to compound multiple surgeries, there's multiple atrophy you have to get over. So that's why it was hard for any of us to really see, and if we didn't have to do it, great, then we don't have to address the point. Now we're at a point now where it's clearly evident that that's the issue, and it's unfortunate. I hate it. I know the club hates it. It's just not a great situation for anyone to deal with. So the human side of it took a lot of stress, a lot of time on my end, but the clarity is to know that we finally know what the problem is and we can address the problem.
Based on how Bakhtiari is talking about this surgery, it sounds like the main injury for all this inflammation and the swelling on the knee that he's consistently had over these last few years is stemming from that little bit of meniscus or cartilage or whatever it is on his knee that's scraping around. They need to clean it out, and once they handle that, he should be able to get cleared, and he should be able to play, a bunch of years moving forward potentially. He's, as long as he's having fun, he says he wants to continue playing. So something to really take a look out here. Now, this has been going back and forth with Aaron Rodgers and Bakhtiari and the New York Jets basically since the whole Rodgers thing happened. He renegotiated his contract, and then you wind up getting pictures like this one where you have Aaron Rodgers saying, "I love my 17s" with Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams both tagged in the Instagram photo. But then if you zoom in, let's see if I can zoom in here. Zoom! Who is that tagged on Aaron Rodgers' butt? On his blind side, none other than David Bakhtiari. So clearly, there has been thoughts of Bakhtiari coming to the New York Jets, or at least maybe teasing and flirting with the idea of it since the summer. I love this sort of stuff because then at least your good players are trying to recruit other good players. And even if there's an injury concern, it gets me all sorts of excited for all the different kinds of rumors that wind up popping up. Now, as far as Rodgers goes, Bakhtiari sounded off after Rodgers went down early on in the season. He says, "Congrats, NFL. How many more players have to get hurt on artificial turf? You care more about soccer players than us. You plan to remove the artificial turf for the World Cup coming up, so clearly it's feasible. I'm sick of this. Do better." So this is something we've talked about in the past. The Jets need to go away from the artificial turf. It's something they've had for the last, bunch of years, but really they just restructured or re-put down the surface, redid the surface, whatever it was, this past offseason, and it was supposed to be like this better material that no longer causes as many injuries, but that hasn't been the case. And Bakhtiari has been very vocal about the ability to play on turf to the point where it started causing a lot of friction. Now, obviously, he got hurt in week 1 of this season, so he got hurt the day before. The Jets played on Monday night, so he gets hurt on a Sunday. Aaron Rodgers goes down on a Monday, and then he winds up tweeting this out, and then he comes in with some graphs showing the statistics between grass and natural grass and turf in stadiums. And then his brother drops this comment, which is like the "fuck around and find out" comment. So basically saying he might, this was in a reply to the inactive list for the Week 2 game. The Packers were supposed to play Atlanta in Atlanta, a domed stadium with turf inside, and the thought was, oh, is Bakhtiari not playing and is he inactive because he does not want to play on turf because he's had all these comments leading up to this week? And this is how Bakhtiari responded to this particular comment.
If I wasn't going to play on turf, I'd probably make more of a ruckus. My brother loves drama, and he told me he was going to do it. I'm like, go right ahead. I don't care what you do. It's your social media, and no, that was not the reason at all. I would, if it was going to be, it'd be something. It would definitely be something different. But no, I mean, I clearly have an injury I've been dealing with.
So clearly a little frustrated with the reaction maybe from what his brother posted. He kind of baited his brother into it. Oh, I don't care, it's your social media account. But then he's also got comments like this where he's talking about the turf as well.
I think you hear now with the multiple social media platforms and players actually having more of a voice, you're seeing them voice their displeasure with certain surfaces. I don't think there's a need for it. There's definitely not a need for it anymore. The only thing I can wrap my mind around it is aesthetically pleasing for TV. And it's a borderline, it's a carpet that's nice to put stadiums on or to put platforms on so you can host other concerts and events easy and not have to clean up, and it's fits your bottom dollar better. But other than that, when we talk about the game and player safety, and if we keep advocating player safety and the importance of it, it's doing us a disservice. I can say firsthand, look, you can use whatever numbers you want, and they do skew to show that like grass is safer than artificial turf. And then from a first person's perspective, like someone who's been playing the game for as long as I have, it sucks. No one enjoys playing on it. Everyone's too scared to talk about it. NFL, just be better, do something, be an advocate for us and help us out.
So I guess this all comes back around. Could David Bakhtiari wind up with the New York Jets next year? And I think it is entirely possible. And if you were asking me, I would say as long as he's signing a deal that is incentive laden, I'm totally fine with that. Maybe it's a vet minimum deal, which would be about $2.5 million or something along those lines, and say it's going to be $1 million per game that you are healthy and start in. If you are healthy for the entire season, you're going to get close to $20 million, which is what you would be making on your current contract with the Green Bay Packers. So there's, that sort of love there. Maybe it gets rolled over into next season. Like, hey, play all of this year, you get that money in next year. Maybe that saves some cap space for the Jets this season if they want to go after some other weapons or other offensive linemen or things along those lines. Or maybe he's fine just taking a lower end deal because he still wants to win that Super Bowl. He wants to get that ring. That's something that he's talked about in the past. So maybe he's looking to do that. As far as the Jets offensive line, what I would really like to see if this were to come to fruition, David Bakhtiari would pencil in as left tackle. I like this option because I really like Carter Warren sitting behind him as the left tackle B. But in an emergency situation, if Bakhtiari were to go down with an injury, I think AVT probably kicks out from left guard over to the tackle spot unless Carter Warren shows that he is capable of starting in some capacity, even if it's not as a Bakhtiari level starter, but someone as like an NFL starter. Then maybe you keep Vera Tucker in at left guard. I like bringing back Connor McGovern as a center. Aaron Rodgers wanted him this past year. He signed for the vet minimum $1.9 million this past year. So I think that would make a lot of sense. Tittman, who we drafted in the second round, had a little bit of trouble snapping the ball at times, maybe going a little bit too high, a little bit too low. Maybe this is a situation where Aaron Rodgers continues to want to play with a veteran center like he practiced with McGovern all preseason training camp, all that good stuff. And then Tittman, who played really well at right guard, might slot into right guard, at least for right now, until Rodgers feels a little bit more comfortable with Tittman there. And then that frees up your number 10 pick to be able to use it towards your right tackle of the future. The Jets and Joe Douglas seemingly connected to Talise Funga, the right tackle from Oregon State. Could he be the plug-in starter on the right-hand side? And then, you know what? I'm feeling pretty decent about this offensive line. Like, I still think you got to add some depth towards the middle part of this offensive line. Like, I don't want to roll into a one line deep of AVT, McGovern, Tittman. You got Wes coming back, who's also a center, has center capabilities. But I would like to bring in a veteran guard, maybe draft a guard in the middle rounds, just to create more of a pipeline of depth that you can continue to keep growing here. But overall, I really like the option of going with David Bakhtiari. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of Bakhtiari coming to the New York Jets? Are you afraid because of the injury history? Do you think it's even a possibility that he comes to the New York Jets with the turf that we currently have? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.
Jets!